Okay, I guess I'm live. So here we go. So I know I'm not the only person here who is seeing a lot of things going on right now after this are very, very upset. And there are people who are gloating. And I just want to make a couple comments about my thoughts. Being an old lady, having been through multiple, I have voted in elections since I turned 18 years old. The first time I voted was for Ronald Reagan's second term. I was too young to vote for the first term. And the reason why I voted for him, because I was only 18, didn't know a lot, hadn't had a lot of experience. I was still living at home. I voted for him because he got our hostages out of Iran. That's why I voted for Ronald Reagan way back in the 80s, okay? So I've been through a lot of elections, and there's some things that I have figured out over the years that I just wanted to, especially for people who are having a hard time right now, I just wanted to put out there so that maybe it can help you relax a little bit. I hope, because people are having meltdowns and things have gotten really ugly. And I will say that it was ugly on both sides. I'm not blaming one or the other. There was a lot of mudslinging from both the Republicans and the Democrats, name calling. So nobody's innocent, okay, as far as that goes. Anyway, here's a fact, okay? An undisputable fact is that when we have an election, there's always going to be somebody who loses. There's always going to be a winner, and there's always going to be a loser, okay? So somebody's going to be disappointed in the results, and somebody else is going to be happy with the results. That's just the way it goes, okay? Maybe next time, the person that you vote for will win. Maybe next time, the person that you vote for will lose. It's just how it works, and it's only 4 years. Another fact is that regardless of whether you like Trump or you don't like Trump, he's only got 4 years to do whatever he's going to do. It's only 4 years. It's not his lifetime. It's not your lifetime unless you pass away in 4 years. But in 4 years, we're going to have 2 new candidates. I personally doubt that Kamala will run again. She might, but I doubt it. So we're probably going to have 2 new people, completely different from who ran in this last election. Okay? So in 4 years, we're going to be at it again, fighting and crying and calling each other names, etc. Which personally I find disgusting. Okay? To be honest with you, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'll tell you something else that I always thought was stupid, that I actually didn't see so much this year in this election, but in the past, of course, the internet's different. We have the internet now. So when all this started, we didn't have the internet. It was just TV and newspapers, right? But it always seemed to me like this was the worst marketing strategy I've ever seen, where it was always, when you watched an ad on TV, it was candidate X did this thing that was bad, and candidate X did that thing that was bad, and candidate X didn't do this when they should have, and blah, blah, blah. Always talking about candidate X. And then at the very end, this advertising was paid for by candidate Y, like, why are you, I never understood that. Like, why would you constantly say the name of the person that you don't want anybody to vote for, and then at the very end, one little tiny blurb with your own endorsement, okay? Like, that just seems so stupid to me. But that's the way it went through most of my life, really. Up until this year, the advertising for campaigns was not like that, but it was kind of vicious. But it did seem to me like both Kamala and Donald Trump at least stuck in there more of what they were going to do in contrast to what their opponent was doing. So I think there's an improvement there overall. But yeah, the mudslinging, very, very vicious, very vicious. And the other thing that I saw that I have never seen before, and this is kind of old news, but the way the ABC handled that debate was very biased. Regardless of who you felt for, it was very obvious that they had a preference and interfered. In my opinion, they interfered, and they shouldn't have done that. And then maybe this was a timing issue, but because of that backlash that ABC got for fact-checking Trump so hard and not really fact-checking Kamala, I'm speculating on this. I don't know for a fact. I don't work for the Washington Post or any of the other papers, but it wasn't too long after that we started seeing the printed papers, or the ones that have online forums, pulling back and saying they're not endorsing anybody. And I think part of it is because they saw what happened to ABC after the debate, that it wasn't good for ABC, that the general public didn't like it, that they felt that it was biased. And in all truth, you know, if you want to be a reputable news company that is supposed to be representative of the entire country, or, you know, what's going on over a broad spectrum of things, you should be unbiased. News is supposed to be unbiased. It's supposed to be just the facts. They're just supposed to tell you what's going on. This is what happened. This is what, you know, they're not supposed to be biased. They can have an op-ed portion of their paper, but in general, a news reporting agency is not supposed to be biased. They're supposed to be unbiased and give us the facts, and then we make our decisions. We, the people, make the decisions. You know, do we like this happening? Do we not like this happening? That's the way it's supposed to be, and it hasn't been that way for a very long time. And you know, my hope is that more of the media, visual, verbal, mainstream news reporting agencies would follow suit, okay, and start being less biased and reel it in, okay? You've got a job to do, and your job is to report to the people what's going on, not expressing your personal feelings about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking very broadly here in this respect, not just about politics, but in general. But of course, politics is very heated. So, I mean, that's my personal feeling. That was the way I was taught that the news is supposed to be. And even back in the 70s, there were teachers who were, sorry about that. I don't know why this is happening.
You have an income call.
Pain in the neck. It's open enrollment. I'm getting calls constantly. And I have do not disturb on, so I don't know how they're getting through. Anyway, yeah, the news is supposed to be unbiased, okay? So this person was arrested for that, and this person, you know, decided to do this, and we're building a new that, and, you know, that's how it's supposed to be, not, oh, it's going to cost us $10,000, and we're all going to die and go to jail, and life will never be the same. That is ridiculous. That is not what the news is supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to be hyping up emotions in people, okay? They're not supposed to be doing that. They're not. And that's why I'm posting this today, is because I want people to just calm down. You're all upset over things that didn't turn out your way, but a lot of people are also under the illusion that was presented by the media. And this goes both ways. I mean, there's going to be people who are going to be really upset with Trump because he said he wants to do certain things, but may not be able to. He's not a king. He's not a dictator. And I know that, people are saying he's going to be a tyrant. He's going to destroy democracy. You know how hard that is? One person is not going to be able, not from our own population, who so far has followed the process it takes to get into our leadership, our top leadership position. They can't just go in and say, okay, now I'm the boss, I'm the king, y'all need to bow down, I'm going to collect all your tax money, and now you have to do exactly what I say because I have absolute power. That's not how our government works, okay? So I mean, they can make some executive decisions, but it's not a blanket statement. And we need to start really figuring out, y'all, we live here. We need to understand how the process works, at least on a basic level. Okay? So how things happen is, an idea or a law is put into place, somebody writes it up. It should be a lawyer, I would think, or somebody who has some kind of experience in that. And then it's presented to Congress, okay? And Congress has to go through and they vote on it. And if it passes, it goes to the president. And if he agrees with it, he can veto it or he can approve it, And it can go back to, I don't remember which, okay? But I do know that the president can't just go in there and say all your firstborn male children have to die. I know that, okay? That cannot happen. And believe me, if we had somebody who, first of all, I don't know how they would get into office if that was the case, but second of all, did that, I guarantee you the country would not, at least not today, maybe in 100 years, but not today, would not tolerate such a thing. And it doesn't matter what party you're in, okay?
You have an incoming call.
That is driving me nuts. It's going to happen all day today. I'm trying to enroll in my insurance and I'm being pestered, and it has nothing to do with what I'm trying to communicate. But this is the annoyance that I'm dealing with yesterday and today and probably for the next 2 months. Drive me crazy. Anyway, bottom line is, and I've said this before, you should be registered to vote. You should vote what you think is the best, your best option out of the candidates that are running. And then after that, you need to use your local government going up the line, starting with your mayor, depending on what the circumstance is, and going up to your congressperson and your senator, because those are the people who go before the president and tell him or her what is going on in the public. This is how the public sees things. This is what they want. That's what we do, okay? That's how our process works. It's that simple. But sitting on your couch or on your front porch or on your back porch or in the kitchen clutch and bitching and complaining and sobbing about the way things are, if you don't like it, isn't doing any good, okay? Because first of all you're doing really at this point is spreading discontent. You're feeding into what the media is telling you, how you should be behaving, like a crazy person that wants to rip their hair out and should you jump off a bridge or put your makeup on today? That is ridiculous. And believe it or not, it's something I heard. Somebody wants to jump off a bridge because Trump won the election. Okay. You got pretty big problems, and they're bigger than who won the election. If you want to jump off a bridge, maybe you should get some help. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And I'm being a little sarcastic here, but this is what we're seeing. All these people who are having total meltdowns over Trump winning the election, when in reality, we're still the United States. It's still the United States. And the hysteria that's going on, you don't need to be hysterical about it, okay? What you need to do is figure out where you stand on the issues that you feel he doesn't support and write a letter or an email or make a phone call to your local congressperson. And if you know other people that agree with your stance on a particular policy, tell them what you did. Help them do the same. We can't sit here and bitch and complain if we're not making our voices known. Okay, and voting is only a very minute part of that process. You still have to talk, you still have to speak up. And I will say this, okay, do not hear me loud and clear here on this. Hear me very loud and clear. Do not do something illegal. Do not threaten any groups of people with violence. Don't do something that's going to get your butt thrown in jail or make you look like you've lost your mind, okay? You want to follow the process, okay? And that's all there is to it. That's how it works. And it doesn't matter how I feel about it. It doesn't matter how your neighbor feels about it, okay? Because they're just feelings. They're just feelings. There's a process. We have to follow that process. And we have to do it legally, okay? And then, you know, when the Post decided that they weren't going to endorse anybody anymore, my Facebook feed, because I know all different kinds of people, I'm not stuck in a vacuum, there were people who posted that they're not going to, you know, subscribe to the Washington Post anymore. Okay, fine. You know, the dollar talks. It's the same thing that happened with Bud Light. You know, Dylan Mulvaney, okay, so there was Dylan Mulvaney, who was a trans entertainer on YouTube and probably some other platforms, excuse me. And Bud Light had Dylan doing advertising for them, and people were outraged, and they didn't like it, and they stopped buying Bud Light. And Bud Light suffered from it, okay? And to give you something else, this happened a very, very, very long time ago when my children were babies. I don't even know if this company exists anymore, but it was Beech Nut. Beech Nut used to make baby food, and it came out that the apple juice for babies came in little jars, like servings. They were like maybe 2 ounces or something like that. The apple juice was all chemicals. It wasn't even apple juice. It was supposed to be, you know, when you buy baby food, it's supposed to be just whatever's in there. And people stopped buying Beech Nut. And I think that, I don't know, I don't buy baby food anymore, but I think that company's gone out of business. But, you know, boycotts can speak volumes to companies that are doing things that you feel are morally or politically corrupt. So that's where I'm at right now. I hope that, I know, you know, you somebody listening might be disappointed, and I get it. You know, I've been disappointed too from elections and had to just go on, you know, keep doing my thing, keep trying to do whatever I'm doing at the time. And that's what we have to do. The world's not going to end, not because of whoever's the president, okay? The world is not going to end because of that. And for some other reason, but not because of that, okay? So keep doing what you're doing. Learn a little bit about the government if you don't understand how it works. You don't have to be, you know, a professor of political science, and figure out where your values lie and the things that you want to see happen in our country, and do your best to make it better, okay? Whatever you think better is, okay? Because that's really ultimately what it all comes down to, is do we think our country is better than it was before? And it happens every 4 years. It's constant. It's like a rotation, okay? And I heard Vivek say something this morning that was really profound. He said, you know, our country was founded on a set of ideals, okay? I'm going to very loosely paraphrase what he said, but yes, our country was founded on a set of ideals and a bunch of people agreed upon, but they're ideals, they're not absolutes, and there are people, human beings, who are implementing these ideas and trying to build our country and so on and so forth. And so because we have people doing it, not gods, there's going to be flaws. There's always going to be flaws, and there's always going to be room for improvement. And that's what we strive to do. We are in the pursuit of happiness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's the pursuit. So we're in a process. And so, in a couple years, our country is going to be 250 years old, which is relatively young. We're not an old, ancient civilization or ancient empire or anything like that. This country's relatively young still compared to some others. And we are still working on the pursuit of all the things that are in the preamble of our Constitution. And so, yes, there's going to be flaws. But if you look back 250 years ago and how far we've come, or even like he said, even just 50 or 60 years ago, how far we've come in a lot of areas. So civil rights is a big one, huge one. We don't have slavery in this country anymore. In our technology, in our manufacturing, in the way that we help, deal with other countries, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, there's a lot of things that we have done and made progress and been leaders and examples for the rest of the world. And yes, on top of that, there have also been some bad things. Can't deny that. There have been some flaws, there have been some boo-boos, there have been some mistakes, there's even been atrocities, okay? So, but we've always managed to get through it. So far, for 250 years, we have managed to get through it. All right? So, take a big breath. Calm yourself down. Figure out where it is that you want to see our country headed and start writing letters, okay? Don't be having meltdowns. It's not doing you any good. It's not doing your family any good. And all you're doing is perpetuating the ridicule of whatever group you have aligned yourself with, okay? By acting like a spoiled child, or you can't handle this, etc. Those kind of things. Just, it's going to be okay.